Hello, rollers. Good morning if it's morning wherever you are, and welcome back to Infodump, where we scour the depths of the internet and bring you fascinating things. I am one half of your hosts with the mosts. I am Colin. I use they and he pronouns.
I am the other half of your host with the most. My name is Hannah. I use they them pronouns. How are you, Colin?
I'm okay. I was trying that out. I started trying to do a really bad alphabetized version for Class and Up the Joint, where we ask blank people blank questions and try to get alliterative. I think I'm up to like F there, and now I'm trying to think of a dumb gag for hosting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Host with the
We'll
most
come up with
right.
it. We're great at coming up with dumb gags.
It's true. It's true. How are you, Hannah?
I'm good. The weather is weird in the Bay Area at the moment.
It's so fucking weird.
It's really weird. It's been 90 degrees. It's been 60 degrees.
It was raining with lightning last night. Somehow.
It sure was.
There was an earthquake.
I knew you were going to say that.
I will say it is the first one that I have felt in probably 15 years because they keep being very small and at night and I sleep through them.
Yeah.
But a 4 point whatever the fuck at 3 a.m. definitely woke me up.
Yeah, that woke me up. I thought like our neighbors downstairs had like slammed the door really hard.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that shakes our apartment building a little bit. And then it kept shaking and I was like, oh, it's an earthquake. And I rolled over and went back to sleep. If you don't live in a place where like earthquakes happen, I feel like I know a lot of people who like live in Tornado Alley. And so they think of earthquakes as like really scary and like really dangerous. And I'm like, the thing about most earthquakes is that like you really can just roll over and go back to sleep. It's really 90% not a big
of the time.
deal.
Like a lot of the time. A friend of mine that I was talking to was like, "Oh, I'm so glad that we're just getting these small little pressure releases instead of the 9 point whatever that will detach LA from the coastline and send it washing up towards the bay."
And good riddance.
Honestly, yeah, I'd be totally fine with that. No complaints there.
Yeah.
If you listen to us and you live in LA, nothing personal, but fuck your city.
Nothing personal. Also, hey, if you live in LA and you listen to us, you probably agree with me. LA sucks.
That's fair. I honestly don't understand why people live there because people that live there also seem to hate it.
Yeah, every time I'm in LA, it's really expensive. And every time I'm in LA, I'm just like, wow, I'm so sad. This place is so full of just the malaise of human sadness and unrealized dreams.
Yeah.
I don't know how people cope with it.
There's this really interesting thing to me where it feels similar. I haven't spent a lot of time there. Honestly, the most time I've spent in LA has been in the airport passing through, thank gods. And also, what a poorly designed airport.
Jesus Christ.
But there's this similarity between like Vegas and LA in the artificiality of its premise.
Yeah.
Right? Vegas is just nothing but smoke and mirrors. There is one street that looks insane, and then the rest of it is just another fucking town, and it is built on selling the promise of instant wealth and glamour to people in a completely fake way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And LA is built on image and is built on Hollywood and is built on plastic surgery and this other, like the more personal but still deeply fake aspects. And they're similar in this like icky, plasticky, like
there's also a lot of
transmission
between the two. Like you get a lot of people from one place going the other.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad. The earthquake. I was living in Tokyo the year after the Tohoku earthquake.
Oh,
and I think that was a formative experience in terms of like my relationship with earthquakes, because for those of you who don't know, the Tohoku earthquake, huge earthquake, very devastating tidal wave afterwards, killed a lot of people. And there was also a big nuclear plant meltdown. Very sad, like lots of like collective grief around that event when I was there, and I'm sure still. And it was really interesting to be there at that time because there were lots of aftershocks happening for a long time after that. And every time we would get an aftershock that was like, 5 or below, people would be like, oh, okay, we're good. We're good. It's not another big one. We're all good and everything's fine. I think I now still have that reaction to small earthquakes where I'm like, and we're good.
Yeah. Oh, it's
and we're
fine.
letting off.
It's
we're
a
letting off a
pressure
little
valve.
Steam, and everything's fine. And
yeah. I mean, I also like one of my most visceral childhood memories is watching the Bay Bridge series during the '89 earthquake.
Oh my God!
My family was at my neighbor's house, and I don't remember the shaking. I remember my mom grabbing me and my brother and running over to stand in the frame of the front door, which at the time was still like, go stand in a door frame that's very secure and supported, and that's where you should be if you have to be inside or whatever. Not understanding at all. I was 2.5, almost 3. But knowing something bad was happening and then hearing about the earthquake, and then I'd have faint memories of images from the newspaper the next day of the old Embarcadero Highway having fucking fallen down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to my mom about it actually the last time that I was in Hawaii, which is where she lives at the moment. And she was talking about I was at work and your dad was at work, and we didn't have cell phones. So I remember she was talking to me. She's like, I think I left my car somewhere. I think I was driving, and the traffic got so bad that at a certain point, people were getting out of their cars and walking home.
Yeah.
And I also got out of my car and walked home.
As you do.
And it's I think that's the vision that people have of earthquakes all the time if you don't live with them. And for me, I'm never been one that bad in my lifetime, actually. Knock on wood.
Yeah. So far, it seems like it's going okay.
Yeah, that was the last time it was that bad.
Yeah.
So,
well, keep our fingers crossed in the future. I don't know. Okay. So moving to our normal discussion topics and away from earthquakes, unless there's an earthquake-based RPG, which actually there probably is.
I bet there is.
Find that.
Yeah.
So before we do that, Hannah, I want to bring up Superman.
Yeah.
So major plot spoilers, because at this point the movie's been out for a while, and if you haven't seen it, honestly, here's the thing. I'm going to say, go see it. It is worth seeing. However,
go on.
I did not like it.
I'm sorry to hear that. But go on. I want to know why.
The thing that got to me is how the kind of two big things. One is a number of small but significant and I think, honestly, easily dealt with plot holes that they made the decision to leave in there. Or maybe it was originally a 4-hour epic and they cut it down, whatever. 2, the fact that I was watching a 2-hour trailer for the next Justice League movie. So what I love that it wasn't an origin story. They didn't need to. We don't need another Superman origin story. They gave us, he's been here for 3 years. There are other meta-humans. We're just jumping right into it. Love that. Great choice. The dog is clearly the best part of the movie. Clearly the best part of the movie. Nicholas Hoult is a great Lex Luthor. My quibble, I wish he maintained a little bit of the intellect as he kind of became unhinged and lost control near the end. And I felt like it was a little bit too hard a swerve into fuck, I've lost control and I'm going to behave like a stereotypical mad villain. My big thing is things like, okay, here's where I'm going to say, yes, this happens in the movie. If you haven't seen it, sorry. Okay, the little fucking weird kaiju thing, right? So Lex says, 2 henchmen, go set this little monster loose. And we see these 2 henchmen in a car, and the car's shaking, and they drive up to an abandoned random spot, and they do the thing where they stand back with a hook, and they open the door of the truck, and this little fucking turtle, squirtle, Pokemon-looking motherfucker hops out, rah! And runs into the bush. The bush suddenly catches on fire. The thing runs again. And then we cut to suddenly it's the size of fucking Godzilla. And then Superman tries to knock it out peaceably, and we end up having to kill the thing. And then suddenly it's just gone, and it's not a problem, and there's no after effect, and not even a mention of how the fuck you dispose of a kaiju-sized corpse and what you do with it.
That's so interesting that was what you latched on to. But go on.
And there's just these so many of these small things and these small moments. I'm like, man, I just felt like they overstuffed it with too many things that in comic form you can kind of have some throwaway dialogue or caption boxes to resolve these things. And instead they're just fuck, what were the things in the 2000 election? Hanging chads. They're just little hanging chads on a sheet, flopping limply in the wind, waiting for someone to pick up their plot thread.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting that was your take on that. I think that from my discussion with Zach, who I know you watched this movie with, I have a really different take on pretty much all of those scenes. Okay. But it's also because I think, like, for me, the core theme of the movie, first of all, I think that it's impossible to talk about this movie in so much that it's like it's impossible to not mention that it's in conversation with Man of Steel and with the Snyderverse generally.
Head and shoulders better. Honestly. In that, what they got the casting right. For Man of Steel, I thought that was also quite a, the new guy is great. What the fuck?
Cornsweet, David Cornsweet,
Cornsweet's great, and it's fucking Geralt. It's The Witcher, right? It was Henry Cavill.
Geralt, it's
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill,
was also, I thought, a very good choice.
Do you say Cavill? I don't know.
Whatever.
But
it's apart from that, the Snyderverse can take a running fucking leap off of a long pier.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. And one of the reasons it fucking sucks is because it's extremely nihilistic and extremely like Ayn Randian and very much like Clark as God. Right? Yeah. Clark as Jesus metaphor, Clark as God.
Totally.
And this movie not only says, hey, fuck that, that sucks, but also says, actually, first of all, Clark is Moses, let's be clear. And second of all,
that's fair.
The whole point is that Clark cares about his chosen people more than he cares about the Kryptonians or their legacy.
Yeah.
Like, Clark is human. And he is that is the point. And having these big action set pieces, the action set pieces are actually like thesis statement of it's actually not more important that Clark has a big cool fight than it is that Clark protects people in this scene. That Clark is running around saving school children and office
stopping
workers,
a building from falling over,
and stopping a building from falling over, and saving squirrels, than it is that he has a really big cool fight, and that he is at the moment struggling to align himself with any other metahuman organization because he is dealing with people who really don't give a shit about that. They don't care about like civilian casualties. They don't care. They don't feel bad killing the leader of a sovereign nation. They're like,
honestly, great move.
And good for them.
Like,
good for them.
So again, like, I'm just like, there are so many things that I do in fact like about this.
Yeah.
But it's these small, and like, again, that's from like, Hawk Girl killing the leader of a sovereign nation is something that should have ramifications, and instead you're waiting for the next movie, and that I don't like. You're already turning into the MCU.
Yeah, I get that.
But
and I also
Nathan Fillion, also perfect.
Incredible.
He's perfect. Incredible.
He's
Best
perfect.
Guy Gardner. Fantastic. I think you're right. To like, I don't want to disagree on the thematic content and like what they're trying to say. I think I'm kind of annoyed at the actual execution and or editing, like what they chose to leave in. If there's like a 4-hour, Joe Gunn cut, what the fuck is his name?
James Gunn.
James. Jay Gunn. If there's a 4-hour his cut, like I'm totally here for that. I will watch it. I think I'm upset with a number of these small things.
I get that. I think that, to your point, like this is a masterclass in characterization.
Yes.
Right? The characterization is perfect. And I think especially if you were coming from the Snyderverse and you were like, this sucks. Like, this is some of the worst characterization of these characters I've ever seen. And you came to this and you're like, oh, it's the DC animated universe. It's the Justice League cartoon.
Yeah.
It's the original it's the original Superman movies. Like it really feels good.
I think we touched on this. I fucking love Gene Hackman as Lex in the 80s.
Absolutely. So yeah. Good. Although Gene Hackman is definitely businessman and not mad scientist.
They kind of ignored his, absurd whatever level intellect that he is canonically supposed to have.
It's 12th, first of all.
It's 12th. Yeah, I remembered that you corrected me last time.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing I want to say that I was like, this is a weirdly anachronistic choice for this exact moment, right? Why does Lex need 15, 20 people on like 1980s looking fucking laptops to run the power suit in his chess match with Superman and Bizarro
That is
Superman?
Crazy, huh?
Like, did they just have a budget for extras to fill? Like, and those were like Apple IICs. Like, they looked like they were typing their commands on Apple IICs with the little green wireframe things.
What I would say
very
is
retro era tech. Yeah.
So much of that is aesthetic to me, is like really buying into like the Art Nouveau kind of aesthetic of Metropolis. And that, again, is characterization. Is like, oh, Lex is a cult leader. Like, Lex has a very real effect on people around. He is not alone. There are lots of people who are willing to work for him and feel good doing it. But I think, and again, that's characterization. That's like,
I compare that aesthetic choice of like that style of computing and that wanting that to be his, secret control room in between his tower to like the powered armor of his insane army and the T-spheres of Mr. Terrific, like these, and even his weird demi-plane lab where the dog is hooked up to electrodes so it just sees squirrels and runs it's this weird to me. And again, it's not commented on, which kind of only draws attention to it, in my view. That if he'd been like, oh, Superman, I know that in the Fortress of Solitude, he has these robots that can hack computer systems, so we got to go low tech, and it's all like weird, hardwired, the bizarre, like the armor can't fly more than a mile from my secret base because it's got an invisible filament wire control. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But instead, we're just like, he's running the armor on Mac 2Cs from the 80s while clearly the rest of the world is in 2025.
Yeah. And maybe he's on to something. Did
maybe
you ever think of that?
God, let's go back to the 80s. On that note, let's revisit the 80s and the age of D&D as we so often do on this show. All right. Let's do you want to kick things off or should we do our rollies?
Let's do our rollies.
Okay. All right.
I long to do rollies.
I love it. Oh wait, can I make it a different color now? No, it's just weird. Okay, 11.
14.
All right. What do you got for me, Hannah? Take it away.
Well, I have a sort of a quick sidestep to our friends over at itch.io. Recently, Ken Hoon Chan of Rascal News published an article about how game designers are experiencing persistent payout issues from Itch. Itch was launched in 2013, started to get big in 2015. As of 2024, it hosts over 1 million products. It's designed as sort of an open marketplace for indie developers to share and distribute their games. And it is used by several people that we have had on the show. Recently, although it seems like it has been kind of a persistent issue, it seems like there's kind of a weird process by which Itch distributes payment that you have given them to the people who've actually made the game. Devs are claiming that payouts are coming through 20 to 90 days after they've been initiated. Okay. Not great, obviously. Like, if people are relying on this in any way for their livelihood, like, that is a long time to wait for money that has already been paid to Itch for your product. It sounds like delays are definitely being exacerbated. Itch kind of notoriously underemploys. They have a pretty small team. And so it seems like there is some pretty slow turnaround right now, just based on the number of people that they have available to do that. And also, there's been recent bot attacks, but most notably, in July, Itch, along with several other game hosting sites, including Steam, delisted thousands of adult games after receiving "quote unquote" concerns from major payment processors, namely MasterCard and PayPal, under pressure from an anti-porn group in Australia called Collective Shout. A pretty deeply conservative organization that is anti-porn, anti-abortion, anti-trans women, but claims to be like, a women's advocacy group, and accused a whole both platforms of a whole host of things because of certain games listed on those sites, and then made this big campaign to MasterCard and PayPal to basically stop processing payments from those sites. As a result, both Steam and Itch have changed the way that they do business to either delist games or take them off the platform entirely. And as a result, a bunch of creators of content like that have said, okay, pay me out right now then. It sounds like they've been so inundated by requests around those events that they are having a very hard time getting back.
It's almost like you shouldn't listen to a small conservative voice shouting in the wilderness loudly when your platform is in fact supported by the very people that conservative group claims to be trying to protect from themselves.
Yeah.
It's almost like capitulation doesn't actually work.
No, not at all. Anna Valens of Vice, way back in July, said that adult content creators, gamers, and concerned bystanders originally claimed the responsible party was a little-known anti-porn organization called Collective Shout. The group has claimed responsibility for Steam's new payment processor policies, with its co-founder calling impacted gamers, quote-unquote, porn sick and brain rotted. So this is...
just elevating our discourse around
just
the
elevating
whole
our
issue.
Discourse around the whole issue.
So... where do I start?
Yeah.
I think where I want to start in my response to this is I can't just let out a giant whomping what the fuck, man, because that doesn't actually that also does not serve as discourse. I think what I want to focus on is the fact that there's this idea that if I don't like something, no one else should be able to like or access that thing.
Yeah.
Which to me is, I think, antithetical to community, to like human interaction and experience, and is kind of just fucking rude for no point.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like, I'm going to, we touch on politics here and there. I'm going to refer back to a thing that I've said a number of times, which is that one of my the biggest weird hypocritical things that I find about political discourse, and I'm going to label this political discourse because it is the fact that right-wing or conservative viewpoints on social issues tend to veer into that lane of, I don't want anyone to be able to see this thing, do this thing, participate in this activity, discuss gender, whatever it is. It is no one should be able to do this because I am uncomfortable with it.
Yep.
Versus the more the progressive, the left wing, the whatever you want to call it, the liberal viewpoints on such tend to fall into, if you don't want it, you don't have to do it. But we shouldn't say nobody can do the thing.
Yeah, and I've heard these articulated as, if I don't like it, I don't do it, versus if I don't like it, you can't do it.
Exactly. And this is one of the stupidest and most hypocritical facets of political or sociological leanings that I have ever been frustrated enough to bang my head against for a while. So that's where I'm gonna start. Like that's fucking ridiculous. Collective shout and people like that. Look, you don't want to do this, don't do it. You don't want gay marriage? Don't get gay married.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to.
Oh,
These
sorry.
people
I'll stop.
Like, these people had to go on Itch and Steam and find these games, which, who's the actual porn-sick, brain-rotted person if you're the one trying to find a list of thousands of adult-themed games on these platforms and label them all and flag them all individually as content that should be banned?
Yeah, Natalie Wynn, better known as ContraPoints on the internet, has she's this incredible video essay about conspiracy, about like conspiratoriality as a mindset. And one of the things that she goes into that I think is worth bringing up here is that the kind of people who really like thinking about like sex trafficking rings and like politicians wearing the faces of children and stuff like that. People who like obsess over this.
Yeah.
They're perverts. They like thinking about this stuff. They kind of get off on it. But they hate the idea of perversion, like fundamentally. Like it's such like a crazy backwards way of thinking that it's very hard to like get inside of.
I really wonder how much better, I'm going to say better, things might be if everyone was required to have therapy by the time they turned 16. And if that therapy did include sex positive education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if we just did not as a world have such a hugely repressive attitude towards anything related to sex, or maybe specifically anything related to female pleasure and sex between equals that is not about power dynamics, right? Because then you're like, oh my God, wow, I kind of maybe have this kink that I didn't even realize, but I'm reading this thing about politicians wearing the faces of children. And then I might be well adjusted enough to be like, you know, that's the wearing the faces of kids part a little weird, but maybe I should just acknowledge that I have a kink of any kind at all and realize that it's okay.
Maybe this is just fetish content. You know what I mean? Like it really, and I think like there's definitely a discussion to be had here about like the movement of the Overton window generally in society, especially in the US, further and further to the right. And how that has really started to pervade online discourse about sex and about erotica and about the idea that like this organization, there are several organizations like this that like, you know, kind of peddle themselves as being about advancing the rights of women, but really when you get down to it are like deeply anti-sex. That's really what they are. And like you can have criticisms of like the porn industry, of the sex work industry, and lots of people who work within them do.
Sure.
But being anti-porn or anti-sex work is an anti-sex stance, not a pro-woman stance.
And it's an unproductive one, I would argue, as well. Yeah.
Not helpful to the people who actually do have any issue in that. The thing about like games that are being hosted on Itch or games that are being hosted on Steam is that they are tagged as what they are. I could not tell you.
It's not the razor blades and Halloween candy. Yeah, you have to look for that kind of game.
You have to. You're looking for it. It's advertised to you. The wool is not pulled over your eyes. If you are seeking this kind of content, I believe that in a free society, you should be able to access it. Especially when we're talking about, like, if your issue is with the exploitation of women, and that's your issue with porn, then the fact that games do not involve real people should solve that problem for you.
Yeah. Well, but let's be real, because these people are also anti-masturbation and anti like any sort of, right? And the other thing that what you said just brought up for me is like how much of how I am not a scientist. I have not researched this. This is my own intuition and filtering of generalized knowledge. But how much of the criticism of sex work and the porn industry is due to the fact that it is illegal?
Right.
Like how many sex workers in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, are deeply upset about the work they do and or are trafficked into it? Asking out loud, don't know the answer. But like my suspicion is that so many of those pearl clutching, we must stop people from being trafficked into sex work would be lessened. The impact of those activities would be lessened, and some of those problems might not go away, but might turn into different and easier to solve problems if sex work was legal. If just payment for sexual activity between consenting adults was just legal.
And that really brings us back to exactly what we're talking about, which is that PayPal and MasterCard can just say, we just won't process payment for these kinds of services. Yeah. And like infamously, sex workers have had a very difficult time finding payment platforms to receive payment for work rendered. And part of why is because platforms like PayPal and other services, Venmo, Cash App, build themselves first as a way for sex work to happen.
And then once they make all the money and they're mainstream, they say, actually, you people that built our organization and what it is today, you can't use us anymore.
Right. And so it's interesting.
I'm honestly amazed OnlyFans has survived this long.
For sure. No, it absolutely. And I think it's really interesting to look at how this is kind of an outcropping of that, where as that kind of content, as erotica, as porn, as sex work becomes more and more stigmatized in the real world and stigmatized online, the more it starts to hit places that you might have not thought that it would. Places like, one of the big complaints around this ban was that it's not a ban, it is a delisting of content, but that has like very real impact. Yeah. And one of the biggest complaints is that a lot of games got targeted that were not actually pornographic or erotic in context at all, but were in fact just queer. Yeah. And that queerness as an identity starts to get sexualized so that it can be criminalized, so that it can be eradicated from public space. And it's been very interesting, disheartening, sad, but interesting all these to look at how the sexualization of queer identity, particularly trans identity, has led to an eradication of like ideological transness in a lot of spaces, commercial spaces.
I mean, we're living in a time when that is the demon of choice in one of the like five-headed Hydra's demons of choice in this country, right? Yeah. And there is, ongoing attempts to just declare. Okay, how far into politics do we want to go here?
Yeah. Be careful.
Right. But you're right. It is disheartening and depressing. But it very much in tune with the discourse that we receive from mainstream media and the debatably elected leaders of our country.
The only reason I warn you off topics like this is because we will be here for several hours.
It's true. So is there hope? Has Itch issued any sort of response? And I remember reading about this in July, and I also remember reading some community pushback, but I don't know if it went anywhere.
So there definitely has been a great deal of community pushback. Thousands of game developers and users were affected by this and reported their games being pulled without notification, halted payouts, not being able to download games that they'd previously purchased. Itch posted a statement that acknowledged the criticism And
we're sorry your feelings were hurt by us
right.
capitulating to conservative shitheels.
And, lots of outlets kind of weighed in to cite several non-pornographic games that were affected by itch's removals. And it does sound like it is kind of an ongoing situation that they are sort of attempting to redress. As of July 29th, Itch had updated its original statement to add an addendum addressing several broad questions about the platform's immediate future. And it claims it is seeking alternative payment processors while simultaneously rolling out strict age gating on store listings. So it sounds like their moving forward is, okay, MasterCard and PayPal are not going to be reliable. We need to find some other way of processing payment. Yeah. But in the meantime, we have to abide by their rules.
So
which sucks.
Here's the other thing to me that I'm just like, I'm going to reference our other recent free speech debacle, right? It's the fact that these companies don't realize the purchasing power of people that want these games is way larger than the purchasing power of people that want to see these games delisted.
Yeah.
The corporate decision to, for example, let go of a late night comedian based on him exercising his constitutionally protected free speech in a satirical and humorous fashion, only to find that leads to millions of people canceling their subscriptions, affecting their bottom line of their stock price, and then leads to shareholder lawsuits demanding communications received between this company and government officials. And then the desperately backtracking walk of reinstating this comedian stunningly on the same day you announce price increases for all of your streaming services, for example. Yeah. This is the consequence.
Yeah.
And so I really question the clout that these organizations actually think they have when compared to the amount of money that queer people, sex-positive people, just plain people that don't want to be told what games they can and cannot play by someone else have.
Yeah.
It is a bad business decision for Itch.
It is. And
for also, PayPal and MasterCard. It's a bad business decision.
These are our canaries, right? Our canaries in the coal mine are dying. It is a scary time. Ideologically in the U.S. right now.
And many other places, to be fair, we're so head in the shit right now. It's hard to be aware.
Like most people who are kind of in our own hurricane, it's not that we don't know that other hurricanes are happening. It's just that this hurricane
is our hurricane. Is actively tearing our roof off right now, and we have to do something about that.
Big shout out to Ken Hoon Chan, Chase Carter, and Anna Valance for all the reporting on that story.
Yeah, if you are not supporting Rascal, highly recommend it. They are awesome independent news that brings really good stuff and could use your money and support if you have some.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I too have a fairly depressing thing to bring to us that I was hoping to lead to the larger discussion. So, this one comes from our friends at wargamer.com. I say our friends because they would be if we knew them. Clearly, we're delightful. They write about stuff that we like, so we would be friends. This comes from their, I believe, newest staff writer. Did I get that right? There's like a little author byline for him. Yes, newest full-time staff writer from Timothy Lindward. And I'm just going to start with the title so you can get a hint of where I'm going, Hannah.
Okie doke.
AI is perfect for lazy D&D players and precisely no one else.
Eat. Bars.
Right?
Get it.
So this is... I'm going to kind of summarize what I take away from this article. And so Timothy goes on to kind of talk about what AI right now actually is. And I think it's worth mentioning that what we call AI is not intelligent. It is marketing. These are actually large language models. Yeah. It's LLM and it's large learning or large language. So they just scrape data and they pattern recognize. And now they can reorganize the patterns into something approximating a new thing that matches whatever insane search parameter, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the specific examples that I think is worth talking about to illustrate this is like you tell Midjourney to generate a picture of a wizard in a hat. And it does this by essentially vaguely finding a bunch of other images online that were made by humans that reference wizard and a bunch of our images that reference hat in a way that it can parse, and it slaps them together. But you then don't have the ability to edit this because when a human does it, there's layers. You know this as an artist. Mm-hmm. There's a background layer, there's a base layer, there's the line weight layer, there's a shadows, there's lighting, there's all of these things you can tweak. And so if you tell a human, make me a wizard with a hat, here's $100, or however much you might charge to make me a picture of a wizard in a hat, and that artist says, here it is, and you say, can you make the hat please a little bigger or different? The artist is like, yes, that hat is a thing that I can pluck out of the drawing, I can adjust the size and scale of it, I can make its hat flop the other way, and I can put it back. But Midjourney has just made an image. So it cannot edit that image. It does not recognize what a wizard is or what a hat is. Mm-hmm. So what we go on to talk about in this article is the fact that what LLMs, what our current AI is good for, what it can do is pattern recognize things on the internet that say Dungeons and Dragons and then slap them together in a new, vaguely appropriate article. Mm-hmm. And I've also, my other favorite line, LLMs are the hyper-evolved grandchildren of face recognition technology and porn filters.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is, we'll put a link to this because I think it's worth reading and investigating and pointing out the three largest, debatably largest, three large prominent issues with generative AI and its use in a creative context. One, we don't know what pattern recognition, like what the LLM was trained on, what data sets, whatever AI you're asking for the character backstory, where it looked for that. It probably, odds or evens, it probably used copyrighted work written by actual people and just flat out stole it because apparently courts have decided that's fine. But we don't know. Two, who knows what pattern it will use to respond when you prompt it with, write me a character backstory. My character is an orcish rogue who ran away from home at the tender age of 12 and was captured by elven raiders on their whatever. Mm-hmm. Who knows what it's going to actually respond with. And third, and in this case, most critically is listed, it hasn't thought about anything. There is no thought process. There is just word pattern recognition, throw it together. So, to summarize, AI is okay if you're being a lazy fucking player or DM. If you are going to just flat out take what it tells you, not think about it, and like slap it in there. There's some arguments to be made about its utility in just ideation. Mm-hmm. If you are someone that struggles with descriptive text, having the ability to say, hey, here's my idea. It is a city on a floating island that was magically lifted into the sky, and it's connected to a nearby mountain range by some bridges. Can help me describe that with more flowery language. I'm not going to fault anyone for that. You and I are creative people. We've talked about this. Like, we would probably write that ourselves.
Yeah.
But to just literally feed a prompt in, take it, and then be like, yeah, this seems fine.
Yeah.
Is lazy.
Yeah. I also, I think it's injurious to people's ability to make art. I work as an art teacher at least part of every year, and I work as a regular teacher the rest of the time. And the thing about making art is that one of the most like integral parts of learning to make art is learning to manage frustration. Learning to manage, oh, this is hard. Learning to manage, oh, this isn't coming out quite the way I want it to. That is actually a vital skill in learning to make art. And what I see AI doing, especially in creative spaces, is it's doing all of the work for you to generate a subpar product that any person with the actual skills is going to recognize is not your real work, is stolen from someone else. And you are not developing, it's keeping you from developing the skills to recognize any of that. It's keeping you from having any of the fun of creation, which is that's how you cope with how frustrating it is to make things.
Yeah.
You cope with it because it's fun, because you're like, oh, like, man, I can't really figure out how to do exactly this the way that I want to, but it's so much fun. I'm having so much fun. I'm connecting to other people as I'm doing it. I'm connecting to myself in a deep way. I'm making things that I really care about. I'm investing. I'm getting excited. I'm like, there's emotion and there's power and there's so much self-expression in it. There's no you in anything that an AI makes.
Yeah.
And I have become increasingly troubled by the effect that AI has on the way that people think. Because when we are in a space where we're like, we have this plagiarism machine that steals from everybody else who's ever made anything to make something that's just kind of like a ransom note of all of those things stuck together, and it can't recognize whether it's good or bad, or if any of it is true. And we take that and we don't say, it's never okay to use that thing. We instead say, it's okay to use it in the most basic ways that like people start to create stuff. I have serious issue with that just because it's like, because I really like, I know slippery slopes. I don't generally like that idea, but like, I do think that, I mean, like,
it's a cliche for a reason.
But I do think that like AI hurts people's ability to do things on their own. And I even experience it. Some people know I do a lot of video editing for this show. There is an AI option to clip stuff. And I even find myself, as somebody who is this opposed to AI all the time, it is such a fight sometimes not to push that button and not to just be like, whatever, you figure it out. You figure out like what clips I should include, because I know they won't be good. It'll be a waste of my time. I have the expertise and the experience to know when a clip is good, when a clip is going to go viral, when it's not. The AI does not. But it would be faster.
Are AIs just the epitome of weaponized incompetence in weirdly computerized form?
Yeah, a little bit.
Because you're like, I'm like, you could tell the AI to do that, and then you're like, but then I would just have to redo that whole work and better and correctly. It's really like having your junior intern white male coworker who says they're really good at video editing, and you're like, literally nothing you gave me is fucking usable.
Yeah. And also it's pointless for me to explain to you why.
Yes. Yeah. It just like there's a huge language and processing gap between you and that intern.
Yeah. It's tough because like, I think that like in a form that I would use, like AI would be a tool to reduce tedium, right? It would
it should be doing our fucking taxes. So the other aspect of this that I'm grateful this article mentions is like just the sheer environmental impact of everyone asking Midjourney to make them a new fucking character portrait, which like is literally boiling oceans every time you do that.
Yeah.
Stop asking Midjourney for art.
Stop. It is just, it's a callous product made by callous people that is actively making the world worse in almost every way, I think.
Yeah. Now, I hear you on like it creativity is like a muscle, and you have to flex it, and you have to practice it, and you have to work out with it in order to get better at it. And so I hear you. I do think I'm going to stand by that. I feel using it to generate descriptives, using it to enhance your creativity in the areas you're not currently good at, I think I have less of a problem with, although I acknowledge serious ethical implications, both on the power consumption and environmental aspect, and on what it's actually doing to your brain and contributing to thievery from actual creatives on the internet who were not able to protect their work from these things, / legally the courts aren't going to fucking do it for them. Now, having said that, I'm going to bring up like the specific thing that I'm like, okay, actually, this is the one thing that I find that I can't hate too much, and I wrestle with it internally. The Planescape game that I am playing, our DM has now on numerous occasions been like, I've said something, and they're like, hold on for just like, give me 2 minutes. And then we talk for a minute. And then in those 2 minutes, what he is doing is creating an animation of my pseudo-dragon familiar in its fancy prom dress eating cupcakes as I have just described in the game.
Sure.
And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was cute. That was worth 2 minutes of my time. That probably wasn't worth the several kilowatts of energy and like an entire Great Lake that went into the computer that made that for you. But I'm glad that you could do that, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, there's always a kid who wants you to do it for them. There's always, in every class, as you're teaching kids how to do stuff, there's at least one kid who's like, you'll be showing them how to do it. And they'll be like, could you just do it for me? And I have to sit with that kid and be like, no, because then it wouldn't be my art. It would be my art. It wouldn't be your art.
I am grateful that I taught physical disciplines, and so there's really no way to make that happen. I'm like, no.
That's so true.
I taught you a little bit, but you must actually do the fucking cartwheel, kid.
Yeah. And in art, almost always, you will have at least a few kids who are like, who don't have the frustration tolerance. And so that's what they want. It's for you to do it. Can I just tell you what I want and you just do it? And the thing is, if you're not willing to pay a human being to do that, I don't think you should be able to. I think you should have to learn to do it yourself.
I don't disagree at all. AI is for lazy D&D players and GMs, really.
And no one else.
And no one else. And no one, I mean, in its current form, it should be for all of us to do our fucking taxes.
Right. Or take notes or like whatever. But like, it definitely should not be doing the fun stuff
for creative purposes.
It should not be doing the fun stuff for you. Like you should get to do that yourself.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's like having a robot that you designed to like wait in line for a roller coaster for you, and they're like, "I'll just go on it, and you can just watch me and see the fun that I'm gonna have."
Yeah.
No, I want to go on the roller coaster.
Yeah, and it's like, well, then you have to wait in the 20-minute line.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Well. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you, Wargamer, for acknowledging the shittiness of generative AI and LLMs. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your mid-roll. It is I, your host, Colin, here to thank you once again for listening. It is so nice and so important, and it feels so good that you are here with us. And also to remind you that if you never want to hear me say that again, if you just are excited about the show, if you love what we're doing, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/therollreport, where also, for as little as a single $1 a month, you can submit questions for our interview guests. Only our friends and supporters on Patreon can submit questions, and only they will get to hear the answers. We've got some really incredible guests coming up as usual, and if you want to hear their answers to your questions, head on over to Patreon. Also, you can follow us on social media. We are at The Roll Report Cast on Instagram and TikTok, and now on Blue Sky. Ooh. Follow us there for announcements about upcoming guests once they have been booked, and and you will find out if you have interesting and amazing and unusual questions for all of them. But thank you so much for listening. That's really all. We are so grateful you're here with us and hope you are enjoying this episode. Back to the show. Shall we horror storize?
I would love to horror storize.
Okay. Yes, I did. I saved the thing. I did say the thing.
Good job.
I'm very happy that I remembered to save the thing and did not do it. Okay. So yes, I have a thing, but in our order, I believe we're back to you. So
we are.
What do you got for me, Hannah?
So from Am I the Asshole D&D, I have an oldie but a goodie from about 5 months ago from user Not the Bat. Am I the asshole for giving my player a brutal choice?
Ooh.
I'm a DM and run a 3-player campaign. Last session was the culmination of one of the players' backstory. Let's call him Player B. Player B was confronting his arch nemesis, who he had been chasing for about 30 years because his arch nemesis killed his wife and burned down his village. Player B's arch nemesis had kidnapped Player B's mentor and a village the party had helped before, which consisted of 4 villagers, which I think is very funny, and posed a choice to Player B, which was to save their mentor or save the village. Arch nemesis told Player B to choose or all the hostages die, and also if anybody tried anything or moved, he would kill all the hostages. The arch nemesis set a timer of 1 minute to make a decision, or he would kill them all. So I set a timer for them to see. Before the timer went off, one of the players, let's call them Player J, said that they were casting a spell, which kicked off initiative. When the fight started, first in initiative was an NPC, and after their turn, the arch nemesis used a legendary action to create a wall of fire, not the spell, and killed the villagers, which were kneeling in a row at 1 HP, bound and gagged. The second hostage, Player B's mentor, was killed later in the same round of combat with another legendary action. However, Player B's mentor managed to survive the encounter despite being reduced to 0 hit points 3 times. The other 2 players, Player J and Player H, were annoyed that they didn't get a chance to save the villagers or more options to go about it. Player J was upset that they weren't allowed to cast a spell during the countdown, which is what started off initiative, and that they had to cast on their initiative turn. I told them that if they didn't want to kick off initiative, that they should have told me they were trying to be discreet, and I could have had them roll a sleight of hand before starting initiative. The encounter took place in an augmented reality chamber with 1 way in and 1 way out. The arch nemesis had taken control of the chamber and the building it resided in. The players were given warnings before the encounter that the arch nemesis had hostages and that he could control the chamber. The players were told that if they tried anything or Player B didn't choose, arch nemesis would kill all the hostages. I wanted to show that Player B's journey of revenge only ends in blood, as well as show the cruelty of his arch nemesis. Player B loved the session and had no complaints about how the final boss fight went. TLDR, in a 3-player campaign, Player B confronted their arch nemesis, who forced a brutal choice: save their mentor or a village of 4 NPCs. The villain warned any action could trigger the death of all hostages and set a visible 1-minute timer. Before time ran out, another player cast a spell, triggering initiative. The villain used legendary actions to kill the villagers and later nearly killed the mentor. Despite this, the mentor survived. Player B was satisfied, but players J and H were frustrated, feeling that they had no real chance to act or save the hostages. The encounter was designed to show the cost of revenge and the villain's cruelty.
Okay. No, not the asshole. You're a great DM. Yeah. That is the shortest version. You are not the asshole DM. You did a great thing. Like, I just want to think about how many good things are happening here. For Player B, like, their backstory matters. It is deeply affecting the world of the campaign, and you are given a chance to see it through to its satisfying, bloody revenge conclusion. So, fucking great job. Your players, J and the other one, H.
Players J and H.
Are kind of being assholes here. And I say that because based on this, DM, you warned them in and out of character exactly what was about to happen. J and H should have realized this was not their fucking moment. I do have questions about if whoever's trying to cast that spell that kicked off initiative asked the other players anything, gave B the 30 seconds to start thinking about it, or literally was just like, I'm going to cast a spell. And the other thing that I would say to the DM, again, that you did correctly, rules as written, casting a spell is not subtle unless you are a sorcerer with a specific metamagic option. The arch nemesis would totally see this happening and respond appropriately. And in this case, appropriately means kill everyone as he has threatened to do.
I think the stakes were set here. You said, this is how long you have to make this decision. If anybody does anything other than make this decision, I kill everyone.
Yeah.
And
they should be fucking happy the mentor survived at all.
Right. And then you carried through on that threat. I do agree that this is definitely like there might be some show stealing going on here. That this like we're talking about a moment that was very much about player B, where player B didn't really get to make his decision before action occurred. But I will say, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this story is because I think this is one of the most challenging parts of DMing is balancing the fact that you have a lot going on. You have a lot of players at the table, right? It's not just player B in this moment with you. You have two other players to consider. Now, I do think that you've set the stakes correctly here, and you've been like, hey, anybody fucking tries anything funny, I'm killing everybody. And so you've been clear about what the stakes are. But I look at this from a design perspective, and I wonder if there's something that you could have set up for player J and player H to do during this scene rather than sit there and wait for player B to make a decision.
Yeah. Okay. If we want to kind of retroactively like what other scenarios, I think that's great. I think the other thing that's occurring to me as like a, good DM practice is when you're spotlighting someone, I think it's okay to tell the other players that you're spotlighting that person. Like, and maybe this DM also totally did that aspect, but it's like, okay, hey, before the session starts, player B, like you're going to have a really tough decision to make. And I want you to be prepared. Like you are making decisions. H and J, when this happens, you need to back the fuck up because it's not your moment. And if you try to do something, there will be consequences as they stated. But a way to politely kind of be like, hey, my other players, however many there are, you might have a table of 5 or 6 or whatever, everybody else, I need everybody to be on board with the fact that we have been focusing this arc on this character and their backstory, and this is their moment, not yours. There's going to be a moment for everybody again, but like there's going to be a climax in this session that is devoted to this player, and I would argue, probably deserve that.
Yeah.
This
is what it's been building to.
This is what we've been building to. So maybe don't step on their decision-making toes and try to cast a spell and save everyone before they've had a chance to actually make that decision.
Yeah. I also think, like, there is, from my own experience, I can say that this doesn't always come from a bad place. Sometimes this is coming from, oh, I have a spell I can use to save everybody. I'll just do it, and then we'll be good.
Yeah.
Trying to come from like a helpful point. I think it is logical to me when you walk into a situation like this that it's like I see the setting of stakes, I see the threat, and I see the carrying out of the threat. But I think about it from a game design perspective, and I'm like, certainly your other two players are going to want to do something in this moment. Like you're setting it up for player B. If you want it to be his decision alone, he has to be alone. You know what I mean? Or either literally or functionally.
Pull a fucking Qui-Gon and Anakin from episode 1. Separate your other players from this action by a room-sized force cage. So the other players are outside the force cage fighting some high-level minions that have been specifically deployed to keep your highlighted player and his nemesis alone.
You can even set it deliberately to the other players. You're like, hey, I'm going to set up a moment for player B to make a choice here. I would really love your help in coming together cooperatively to make that moment happen. So like they even get a heroic moment of like, no, go, we'll take them. Like we'll stay here and fight these guys. Like you get to feel like you're participating in the moment, even though I'm going to give this like kind of one-on-one to another player in the same scene.
Totally.
I think that, like, I completely agree with you that, like, the DM did nothing wrong here. This is great setup. This is, like, very clear. Like, you set it up and you followed the rules. It's not like you pulled outside of the D&D rules to do this. You said, this is the initiative. This is who goes first. This guy has legendary actions. He's told you he was going to do this, and now he's doing it. I don't think you're the asshole for doing that. But I do understand why your players were not super happy about it.
I can understand, but I think it's some misplaced frustration. Like I do understand that, but I think I as a player, I don't know, and like, you know, maybe this is also like theater background. I'm like, oh no, you throw focus to the person that is actively doing the thing. Like that's what you do. If I'm in the background of a scene, I'm not over here dancing a jig with a little frog statue, like making hella noise and shit. I'm going to stand there and direct my focus towards the action that is happening until it is my turn to have a line, or in this case, my turn to have an action in initiative or whatever the fuck it might be.
Yeah, I think too that's a good practice in D&D. I know that there's lots of stories about like, you know, somebody getting spotlighted too much or like having had like too much focus in the narrative. And I know that can be really frustrating, but I think what can be equally frustrating is when a moment is clearly yours in the story. It's clearly for you. And your other players are not being very cooperative.
I mean, I would also say player B in this story is most gracious to be like, no, man, that was fucking great. I don't care that these idiots ruined it. You know, but you're right. You know, I can understand why players would find that frustrating. But I'm a forgiving DM. I might, if I'm setting this up and my player's like, I cast a spell and I'm like, roll initiative. If they're like, well, I was trying to hide. I wanted to kind of move behind the other PC so he didn't see me. I might be like, okay, but you have to tell me in that moment. You can't, you know, same if you're like, oh, I want to do non-lethal damage. I want to knock this person out so we can interrogate them later. I'm like, you need to tell me that. You can't tell me that after they're dead or after you like threw a firebolt in their face that took them to 0 hit point that now they're actually dead.
I think this is, as memed on as it is, I think this is a great moment for Are You Sure? And to reiterate, he has said, this is what will happen. This is clearly B's choice. You're going to step on B's choice. And try to do this. Like, he's going to see you.
Great moment to clarify and restate the stakes of this exact moment. Yeah. So, no, that's a great story. No, that's a great DM. Yeah. I would be happy to play for that DM.
Absolutely.
That DM sounds like they did so many things right, and maybe I would have some like occasional, hey, can we communicate about this thing a little bit more? But like that sounds like a great DM.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah. I'm really interested in the village full of only 4 people. I think that's really fun.
Right? I'm like, are they all just named Dave? Or like, is there literally only 4 people left? Is it like a Japanese village after all of the children have left the mountains and gone to the city that are still kind of happening there? Like, yeah, I'm so curious about this world. But anyway, I love that.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, Colin, let's hear your story.
Let's hear me. Okay, so this is just from r/D&D, and I was like, this is an interesting question as well that I was like, I'm curious your perspective. So this is from user u/Rayong, RAYYONGG.
Okay.
A lot of doubles. And it's titled Healing the Enemies. I have a player whose background states that he doesn't like anyone dying, so he tries his best to heal everyone, including the enemies. I was caught off guard when he first did this and allowed it since I didn't want to come off as a bad sport, but having heard he plans to keep doing this for future encounters, I got worried. The party doesn't seem to be mad at him at the moment as everyone is equally new and just confused. So I'm wondering if I should allow this or draw a boundary between it and how I should draw the boundary. I low-key wanted to add a D8 damage for the enemy every time he heals the enemy, but it might just leave a bad taste in my mouth since we are all new to this, me being a DM and him being a new player. I know I myself would get typo says past. I'm sure it's pissed if a party member heals an enemy that had 1 HP left. With a quick edit to clarify, since I think this is relevant, want to clarify he heals the enemies mid-battle. I had the monster nearly killing him and another 2 party members too, but it doesn't seem to stop his enthusiasm. If no agreement is met, there's a thank you for the suggestions, but if no agreement is met, is it justified to ask him to remake the character or have the campaign change to fit this or add more monsters, smiley face, or kick him out of the party? So I think this is the open question of like, what would you do, Hannah? And what advice might you have for this person who, as a player who is so committed to pacifism and people not dying, they want to heal everyone in combat while a combat is happening?
Okay. So you have a player who's going to heal your enemies in combat while everyone's playing. I mean, obviously I have questions, which is he also healing his teammates as often as he's healing the enemies?
It does sound like yes. It does sound like yes. The implication, contextual evidence says yes, he heals everybody.
I think this is, you got to have some table talk about this. I definitely do not think this is grounds to kick a player. I think that would be a little extreme. I actually don't even think you need him to remake the character. I do think you need to come to a table consensus about what this looks like. Like, is it just pacifism? Like, does he just not want to kill the monsters? Because there's, like, you can non-lethally attack things.
You can non-lethally. It is the approach to be like, okay, you're, I presume maybe a cleric. I don't know. Can we compromise that you spare the dying?
Right.
And so I'm trying to imagine myself as this player as well. And I played a pacifist cleric in a Strahd campaign briefly. Ooh. It was the end of Zach's campaign. This was kind of a DM PC that the DM had made for someone else who never joined and was like at the end of his rope. And I was desperate for games in 2020 as we all were. And but I was just like, I just, had a shield that would explode if I ever did damage to anyone, which I did finally do when we were actually facing Strahd. But until then, my role was entirely heal people and do support spells. And so I'm imagining like, I could see that character being like, we shouldn't kill anyone. It may be undead, fine, because they're not actually living. But everyone else, I'm going to use my action economy to go cast Spare the Dying as soon as you knock that motherfucker out.
Yeah.
And then I'm only going to have a bonus action to do something else and maybe heal you, But you've kind of forced my hand in this way because this is how this character would do it. I think that version is not an illegitimate use of it's what my character would do.
I agree. And I also think like there's questions to be asked from a DM perspective of like, what is the experience you're trying to have? What is your goal here? What is the motivation for this? How can we make this work cooperatively? Because that's what I think the concern is how do we make this work cooperatively with your group? And I think there's many, many ways to do that. I've known people who've played pacifist characters. I definitely play in campaigns where that are very low combat. I play a barbarian who, in their current storyline, is actually just about to kill somebody for the first time. They've not killed anybody yet. So, I've definitely played characters where it's they are not trying to kill people. They are dealing with things as non-lethally as possible. I definitely think those characters work better in a more roleplay heavy campaign. The more combat there is, the more opportunities for this type of conflict are going to arise. But I would also say you need to identify what is important about this to the player and what are they trying to achieve? What's the arc for this character? And how can we make this mesh cooperatively with everybody else's goals in the experience, right? The experience that they're trying to have. Because the experience that they are not trying to have, I would imagine, are unkillable enemies who their teammate is making unkillable. And the rest of the party being mad. Right. Yeah. Right. That's not an experience.
I think it's amazing the rest of the party is not mad so far. I think also contextually this is a relatively new game. There's only been a couple sessions or encounters.
Yeah.
But that player at the moment, the way they're doing it is asking for the rest of the party to start being mad in and out of character.
Yes. So that whole little winky, cheeky, maybe I'm going to put more No. No, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down and have a conversation about what this player is trying to achieve and why. Because if you put more combat into this game, you are going to make this a problem much faster.
Yes. I agree.
Oh, that's so crazy. That's such a crazy move.
It's a really interesting, it's really weird. It's like, I'm also still kind of like, even as a new player, I'm like, that seems like an extreme version of I don't want to hurt people. To be like, my party is actively fighting these goblins and I'm actively going to heal them, even though they're just going to stab us again.
Right. Like the fact that like this person, because here's the thing about most of the actual pacifists I know. Most of the actual pacifists I know are not like the kind of people where they're like, yeah, roll over and let people hurt you. Like, that's what you should do. Like, they're like, no. Like, obviously, like, you know, the goal is to be as peaceful in your interactions with other people as possible, to be as nonviolent as possible. Yeah. But you don't just let people hurt you. Like, that's not, and you certainly don't let people hurt the people that you care about. Like that's not what the ideology is. And where this player, like the fact that this player is like letting, like the DM's like, oh yeah, like I was like killing their teammates and they were still healing
fine.
the guy. Like,
sure, why not?
Crazy.
I just like, it's weird.
But it's also like the fact that they're all new. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot. It all makes a lot more sense. It's probably not malicious if that's the case.
No, and honestly, I think it's like it's a pretty tame new player problem compared to some of the other ones we've had. Like I remember our last one where DM is like, they're playing Species. I don't know, and I was like, you're a bad DM.
You're a bad DM, dude.
And they want to just be level 20, and you let random people. So. I'm actually like, I think for a new DM, this is a good problem to have because you can use it to talk about character agency and what these characters want and what the story you're telling is trying to do.
Right.
But you gotta, as we always say, you gotta talk to your players.
Yeah. That I've
However,
never
this
heard
is not
that
a talk
before.
to them or break up situation. I don't feel like this is a break up situation.
No, I don't think so either. Like I think that's pretty extreme. I honestly think like even like making him remake the character, I don't think you need to do. But this is wild. I have never heard of anybody doing this before. What a what a wild move.
It's kind of inspiring in some ways. And like, I wonder if I could, what would the arc of a pacifist character that always uses combat to spare the dying on enemies and then tie them up and like thoughtfully turn them on their side so they don't die in their sleep.
You leave them a little note like, here, really reconsider like what you've done in your life to get to this point.
Just every time you knock them out, spare the dying, tie them up, and like tuck a little, like make laminated cards you tuck in their pocket that say make better life choices.
Man. Now I'm obsessed. I think this would be amazing. I want to do this so bad now. I'm inspired.
It would be pretty fucking funny. Oh my God.
That's funny.
Well, yeah.
That is what
I bring this week.
Thank you.
It's kind of one of the things that I could see my kids doing, like my teen that I work with, because they come up with they commit to their bits really fucking hard, and they come up with good bits. Yeah.
People are fascinating.
Well, delightful as always. Yeah. Earthquakes, Superman, and political ideologies, and some DM advice. Yeah. What more could you ask for in a podcast, really?
What more could you ask
That
for?
should be our tag.
Yeah.
Just take that clip and put it everywhere on the internet to get people to listen to the show. Hannah, where can people find you for more cool stuff and opinions and thoughts on the interwebs?
People can find me for more cool stuff and opinions and thoughts on the interwebs at Burger Queen Draws, pretty much everywhere. Tumblr, TikTok are the places that I am the most active right now. But you can find me all over the place under that name, Booger Queen Draws. Did not have to compete with anybody for that SEO for some reason.
Good SEO. Great SEO. I'm getting cold SEO optimization emails from people that seem like they're actually not spam, just someone trying to get me to pay them for something I don't fucking need.
Huh.
Go figure.
Go figure.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's how good the podcast is doing. Is that we're
getting ads for SEO optimization.
Yeah.
Colin,
where can people find you?
You cannot, but you can find my cats on Instagram at nogoodcats if you'd like to see my beautiful, adorable fur babies. And you can find and follow the show on TikTok and Instagram and Blue Sky at The Roll Report Cast. And if you really like what we're doing, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Roll Report, where for as little as $1 a month, we will tell you who's coming up in interviews, and you can submit questions for those people that only you will get the answer to.
I'm really excited about a lot of the interviews that we have coming up,
I am very excited about interviews coming up. We now got to release that video, don't we?
I think we do now.
I think we do.
I think it's time.
We should. I think it's time. So you'll have to stay tuned to our socials to see what incredibly cool people are coming up on the podcast next. Yeah. Until next time.
Until next time.
Talk to your players and roll some dice.
Please.
Or roll some other stuff. Oh, God, please talk to your players. Bye.
Bye.